episode of the Gabfest. We are so excited. Why am I being
Why are we so quiet?
We're being so sophisticated today. Yeah. So we are so excited for yet another show of the Gabfest. And guys, we are so excited. Jess is in the building.
Hello! Make some noise! Hello everybody, I'm so glad to be back.
So glad to have you. So you were supposed to be for First Fridays last week, but you
Yeah.
had work, but you are here.
I feel like they heard our conversation. They heard us saying, no, we in it. Literally an hour after. Go, booked for work.
But you're here, nonetheless.
But I'm here.
It's not First Fridays, but you're here.
But we're here.
It's your first Friday.
So if you don't know, Jeshi is one of our co-hosts that is on every single First Friday, hence it's called First Friday. Jess inspired the name. But so yeah, go watch our old episodes with Jess in it. And then obviously we have our co-host Cleo.
Cleo!
How you doing?
How you doing? Who's is that Anka?
Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams. Whenever
Oh,
Anka
yes.
asks when I say how are you doing, and then I do this, and then
Yeah.
she's always asking why are you doing this.
Not so good. I feel like I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. And usually I'm like the person that masks everything. I'm like, oh, I'm fine, everything's fine. And I'm just like,
It's one of those days.
yeah.
But no specific reason. You just.
No, I think it's just being a woman and hormones and yeah.
So hopefully today's show will improve you
Yeah,
a little
I hope
bit.
so. I
Just
mean,
a
the
little
topic
bit.
is not so...
Not a lot. Sorry.
Okay, I feel better now.
Okay. Mission accomplished. And then we have our guest host for today, who is Crystal.
Hi guys.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Excited.
Good. You're excited. So we want to just, with our topic today, we want to say thank you to Crystal for being open to be on the Gabfest, speaking about divorce. You know, we've been busy with the series Love, Marriage, Divorce. Our first episode was the dating before the Will You Marry Me? Then second episode was marriage in itself. Third episode was in marriage, what could be the causes that makes you feel like, ugh, I want to get divorced, or is this worth it to stay? And today we are doing divorce, right? So just to be clear right from the beginning, we are in no way advocating divorce.
Yes.
We are just being real that divorce is a thing, and based on social media, it's a big thing to post. Ooh, divorced, finally happy. You know, that
countdown,
whole
and freedom.
freedom. And
People.
they make it look like their relationship is the greatest until the day they announce we're getting divorced, and it's like. You kind of question, was the whole relationship fake for social media?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another story. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But we want to say thank you to Crystal, because a lot of people wasn't too open to speak about divorce the way Gabfest speaks.
Yeah.
You know, we're very open. People want to be, I was telling the ladies, people want to be, the Bible says this about divorce. People, what did you say, Jess?
God hates divorce. That's the big one. They always like to say
So,
Yeah.
and then Jess was adding on, but then why is there so many people who call themselves Christian getting divorced? So she feels like it is a topic that does need to be spoken of. So that is what we are doing today. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
opening up
thank
with
you.
us today
Thank you very much.
and sharing. We are not here to say that my husband did this, my husband
Yeah,
did that.
please, no.
Today is the
No man
purpose.
bashing.
Yeah. Yes.
The purpose of today's show is more, how did you overcome?
Yes.
How do you overcome? How do you get through those situations? And blah,
Yes,
blah, blah,
that's
blah,
very
blah, blah.
important. On that, I just want to say as well, I am here just saying that basically what you said, how you can overcome it, how you can go through it, go through the process, and then just become an overcomer from it. And be a warrior and stand strong, stand up again, because it's not easy. Divorce is not easy. I wanted to chicken out again, but I'm here because by those who does know me, I'm all about inspiring, making a change, doing an impact in any woman's life. So that is why I am here. No name bashing, no, it's just my story. many in the past, I have spoken on other platforms, and then you get a lot of, negativity as well as positive, but the negative sometimes can overpower the positive, and then you're like,
question, should I have done
exactly, should I do it? No, I don't want to, but I know what I'm called for, and I know it's my ministry also at the end of the day. I love impacting women's lives. I like making a difference. I like changing. So that is why I am here. And yes, I am excited.
Yeah, and last
Let's
night
do
when I
this.
phoned her and I was like, okay, these are the few things. I'm just giving you heads up so that you, and are you okay with me asking questions like this? And she's like, you're scaring me now. You're scaring me now.
It is because not many people will speak about it, especially divorce, because now the minute you say divorce, many people want to know who went, who did what,
cheated.
and whatever.
That's
Exactly,
how we all
exactly. Like, why? No, it shouldn't be that. I mean, it's people's lives, and there's a lot of things that go into it, guys. Marriage is not easy, and divorce is worse.
Yeah. So Winona
yeah.
says to you, so proud of you, Crystal.
Yeah.
There is life after divorce.
Yes,
Okay. So we're
thanks.
gonna jump into. I wanted to say, and you know how I am about my series now.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys have watched or anybody watching live has watched Unfamiliar Family before. And Unfamiliar Family it's a K drama.
We are unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Oh yes, okay, dramas. I know you like them.
So Unfamiliar Family, it basically starts with all the kids are adults, older than 30 already, but then the couple, their parents decide they don't want to be together while the mother decides. And she used something very interesting. She used the word when she asked her husband for the divorce. She explained to him, divorce is no longer like a thing because it's messy. But now they call it something called graduating from marriage, right? And I went to Google the
OMG.
term graduating from marriage. So basically you're still married, but let's just go our separate ways and not go through the
whole process of
yuck
divorce.
stuck
So,
of...
like, legally, are you still married?
Yeah, they're not getting an actual divorce. It's just you moving now into your own space.
Yeah.
And I'm moving into my space. And if we decide we're selling the house to buy both of us an apartment. But we're not going through the nitty-gritties of fighting, this is mine, that's yours, what's
Yeah.
happening to kids and all those things. And I found it really interesting that we are now in a society that, you know how I always say we try to make excuses for things? But I found it so interesting that there's even new terminology for divorce to
Yeah.
make it not as sticky
Yes.
as it is. Like, I don't want to be with you, so let's graduate from marriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Calling it graduate, and we know what graduation is. Like,
Yeah.
it means you
Basically
succeeded in
exceeding,
something, you
yes.
sacrificed your life for, not your life, but like, let's say your studies or something when you graduate from something. And I found it really interesting that they're using graduating from marriage. Like, as in, I've
That's
been there,
weird.
done that, I've graduated, and I'm moving on.
What I find interesting is that it makes it sound like marriage is some sort of a school or some sort of an experience and a very hard one. Well, that's the
Isn't it?
impression that I'm getting. It's something that like you graduate from. I've never heard this term before. So
I've also
it's
never
quite-
heard of it until I watched the series.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I like series where everybody is older than 30. I don't know, I resonate more with it.
Yes.
But it's one of those because you learn so much more and from different cultures and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to hear that there's... What's your take on that, B? As a
That's-
divorced woman, what's
No,
your
I've
take?
never heard of something like that, guys. But first of all, divorce is okay for some. Okay, it depends on a person, and it depends what's the cause of divorce. So if a divorce, there can be numerous reasons. Look like in other cultures or people, they can make it clean. Other divorces are generally messy. Other divorces, so this term of graduation I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But what's your thought on it, the whole term in itself? Do you think it's possible to just go on with your life, but...
No, I think that divorce means it's an end. So you have to cut all ties. There must be, like,
Yeah.
if you're divorcing, divorce and finish. Yeah, it's clear.
Also, is this like a temporary
It's finished.
thing? Or
Exactly.
Is it like forever
Yeah.
that we're still married,
It's
but we're just not?
I don't want you. I don't know. I didn't check into the age category of people that do it. But in the series itself, it's an old couple.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe she felt like, I'm not going to meet someone else,
Yeah.
or,
But that will become tricky in the long run, I believe, because where you are still tied with that person.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say like
Yeah,
it
you're
should
still
be like a
tied.
full stop.
Yes, full
full
stop,
stop.
punt, klaar.
It
It's
also
finished.
makes it difficult because
Yeah.
now if you want to see other people, and now let's say somebody you
Exactly.
and
By the way, I'm still
exactly.
married.
by the
Yes.
way, you
Yeah.
still, and then it makes it extra complicated.
I don't know, did you see that meme? Because that sounds something similar to that meme, which is not about divorce, but it's the girl saying, so it's two people sitting on their own beds in different shots,
Yeah.
and the girl sends a message, why didn't you tell me you have 2 kids? You married with 2 kids. And then the guy replies, lol, I'm shy.
Is that the one where they're laying on the bed?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It reminds me of, there's a show that I watched, and I actually watched it earlier this year. It's called Divorce, and it's an old show. It stars Sarah Jessica Parker and then a couple of other known actors. And what I found interesting as a person who's relatively newly married, was just how drawn out and complicated divorce was. It gave me a perspective that I think I didn't have before. That and another show called Scenes from a Marriage, that you are so intertwined, you are so one with this person, your life, your finances, your emotions, like everything is one with someone. And then there's this drawn out divorce process, and they showed the complications of it, that you might have said, okay, no, we're both getting a divorce, but how long does it take to actually sign the papers? One could be stalling because there's all those emotions. Do I still want to? Could we work on it? But then you remember what happened and said, no, we're cutting it off.
Can I ask you, the second movie you mentioned, is that also an old movie?
Scenes from a Marriage is relatively recent. I think it came out in 2021. So it
Okay,
didn't
the
come out
reason
this
why
year.
I'm asking is I find that a lot of new movies, in terms of when it comes to divorce, they make it seem like it's
okay.
it's easy in terms of, we have this cool relationship. Oh, my ex lives in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I've seen
Very
those
modernized.
movies.
Very
Yeah.
modernized in
Yeah.
terms of, oh no, I've met my ex's girlfriend many times, and they make it seem like it's something so easy to
Yes.
overcome. And then that's when you get women that question themselves, as in, is there something wrong with me? And that's what I was explaining to Crystal last night, and I was telling Crystal, I want you to be as real as possible in terms of your emotion, because
Yeah.
I used myself as an example when it comes to my hardships as a mother.
Yeah.
I don't hear other women, not necessarily using the word complaining, but sharing their
yes.
difficult experience on social media. They make it seem like motherhood is so easy to look
Yeah.
so good every day,
Yeah.
have on a full face and all of those things. And then it makes you sit in your corner and think, but is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
is everybody thriving in this way and I feel like I'm drowning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was saying the same thing with divorce. There could be somebody watching
Yes.
and being like, I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
But everybody makes it seem like, happy-go-lucky, except
Yeah.
your ex's girlfriend immediately
Have
allow
your divorce
this.
party. Have you seen those?
Yes,
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 people
yes,
have
yes,
those.
yes,
They're
yes.
celebrating freedom. That's why I'm saying coming back
There's
to
a
celebrating
specific movie
freedom.
also where the couple
Yes.
gets divorced and,
And
they
they-
send out invitations
Yeah.
to everybody that was at the wedding to come witness the divorce, them signing their divorce papers.
Yeah, which I think is
Yeah.
why I really liked these two shows, because
It was real.
wasn't a pretty picture. It
Okay.
was complicated. It was drawn
Say
out
the names
things.
again for us to go watch.
Okay, so the one is called Divorce. It stars
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker. I think she was one of the producers on it. And then the other one is called Scenes from a Marriage.
Okay.
So it just shows like exactly what the complications and how hard it is to separate your life from somebody who. And I also found that nobody goes. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's so conflicting because nobody goes into marriage when you're making your vows to each other, saying, "Yeah, in a couple of years down the line, yeah, we're gonna leave each other." Like
Yeah, no one, no one,
expects
no
it
one,
to
no.
happen, which is why I was so
But
excited
then I
to
Yeah.
also
story.
find that I feel like society is making it acceptable, because
Yes.
now all your fights before marriage is about prenups and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you get married with the intention of happily ever after.
Yeah.
But the amount of work they go into before marriage, this is yours, that is mine, with the intention of, if something is
Protection,
to
yeah.
happen, I need to protect
It's
my,
like,
which I'm
yeah.
not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying you're already planting that seed
Yeah.
in terms of, I don't see this going that far.
What they call about it, sorry, yes, go.
Sorry about. I just wanted to ask, like, with like in the Christian community, is like are prenups frowned upon? Like, is it something
No.
that you should not consider, or is it just a thing of like it's up to your personal preference?
To be honest, I don't know from like maybe an older perspective, but as a younger perspective, it's not something that's you're not forced to do
Yeah,
it.
I've
In
never-
marriage counseling, you have your own choice.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the generation before me, I can't speak for them.
Which also then highlights there's the emotional aspect of marriage, which is the love and then there's the contractual aspect of marriage. And some
That bit
people
of logic that's there.
that logical
Yeah.
aspect, and it's funny how like the logical like aspect it puts a damper on the emotional part, but it is true that marriage is a very big contractual agreement.
Yeah.
And there are people who want to get divorced, have long emotionally left the marriage, but won't leave because of the contractual aspect.
Yes.
And that just draws it out even further. Well, those are accounts that I've heard from people who I know, friends that I have, family members that I know have gone through divorce.
Gone through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously when like what you're saying now, it's like as if you're saying to yourself, making room for disappointment.
Yeah.
So when you have that already planted inside of you, it's going to play on you eventually all the time, and eventually something, because then when arguments happen, then the D word comes up. I want a divorce, I want out.
The D word.
So are we saying that when we get married, we just like there's not
Don't-
even like an inch of like a doubt, because then you shouldn't be doing it.
So what I remember, I was explaining last. Well, I wasn't explaining last week actually. I was speaking at an event on Saturday, and the one question was, so how do you then move on if you know this person is wrong? And I can't remember the exact question and stuff. And what I answered was something I can't say for others, but I'm going to speak now as a Christian girl. That if you have a relationship with God, from the second you meet somebody, you definitely know that I'm supposed to be in this and this is not for me. And what happens is that you try and, whether you want to use the word baby, you try and want to play mother, you try and want to do fix upper, we always say the fixer uppers, always in relationships. When you meet somebody, I honestly believe that when you meet somebody, based on that relationship you have with God, and what we call it as Christians is the spirit of discernment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you don't have that, it's easy to move from relationship to relationship and ask, why am I not meeting somebody that we meant to be together?
Yeah.
And I found it quite interesting because the lady was speaking to me and she was saying, God forbid something happens in your marriage, will you leave Ashley now? And I said, truth be told, I don't think I will. I will see how we can work through it. Reason being that when I met my husband, I had the feeling of, this is from God. I had a feeling of, I don't know, I don't want to sound too churchy,
I get you.
but
Yeah.
you totally
100%.
feel everything. You already imagine everything.
Yes.
God expects us to do this. God expects us to do that. This is how we're going to work together to change
Yeah.
the world. It doesn't have to be in church, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know the kind of things, the plans, we like Jeremiah, the plans I've said before you. And I believe that when you meet somebody, if you are aligned with God, there's no doubt that this is right or this is wrong. And when you know from the get-go, because I've heard many people that's in marriage and 5 years down the line, they say they knew before the marriage this is not right.
Yeah.
They could feel it even before saying yes. They knew that I'm getting myself into something, but didn't have the guts to leave the relationship. So you always know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even if you don't have a relationship with God, there is that thing inside of you, like with everything else, don't take this dark road, don't take
Yeah.
this. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So can I throw then a spanner into the works?
Okay.
And I also want to ask Crystal this question. Okay, so when I heard that Devon Franklin and Megan Good were getting
Good, yeah.
divorced, it really hurt me. It hurt me so much because they were two people at that time who had that revelation, that discernment that this is my partner. This is the one. God opened a cloud and brought this person. And yet still the challenges of life, I guess, just did what it did, and then they. So my question to Crystal would be, how did you feel going into your marriage, and did you feel like, were the red flags there in the beginning, or was it something that only developed like inside the marriage? Because I'm really intrigued to hear your story. Like,
Can I just say something quickly before? Keep your answer now.
Yeah.
Based on the Megan Good, I'm not gonna lie now. I called that from the get-go. You can see acting. I called that from the get-go. This is attention seeking. This is.
Those two even wrote a book.
I honestly felt this is.
Same.
You know, how do we get into the world? How do we make
Business
money
deal.
with this? I saw it as a business deal, and I'm not gonna lie, because that's how I saw it. And when it happened, I didn't have that shock. But I can tell you I had a shock with Tia.
Tia Mowry?
Yes, that was a shock for me. But answer your
This news to you,
question.
Jess.
Guys,
okay?
no,
Are you
really?
okay?
She announced on Monday, wasn't it?
Oh my word, guys. Okay,
Oh.
okay. I'll deal with my things.
Get
I'll
some
deal with
Okay, so basically, like I was saying before the show, like my ex and I knew each other from youth. So he was my first boyfriend. So I knew we grew up in the youth and we were very connected. So he was my first real boyfriend, at the time. And going into marriage, we knew like this is ordained by God, the churchy girl. I am a churchy girl. So we knew it was from God and everything was beautiful. It was. So we were married 9 years. During the marriage, there was no signs of divorce. There was nothing to say things is going to change for us. So when it happened, it hit me like a wave. So I was like, oh dear, is this really happening to me? And I was like, so just a bit about my story is that I grew up with a single mom. So divorce was like, hoekom raak ek nou emotional?
No, it's not just, it's me as well.
I know,
Rolling my
wait.
tears. Like,
Yeah, wait. Hi, people. And it's not to say that people don't understand, man. I'm sure. Yeah.
Let it out, girl.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm
It's like
literally
people
looking
don't
at you.
understand that it's your life.
Just
okay.
while you recoup with
Yeah.
yourself, it's just another thing that shows, because how long has it been? 4 years now?
It's going for
Going
4
for
years.
4 years.
And
I'm just saying, see your emotion.
yeah.
Just speaking about it.
Yeah.
Let's
So
not-
it's sometimes, but people don't understand it. They'll think you're not over it as yet or whatever. And it's not that.
It's not that.
It's not that. I've went through it's hard. Divorce is hard. For those ladies that's went through it, they'll know it. Those who still going through it, that's went through it, yeah, all that. It's difficult, man. People, I found myself at the stage that, yes, I attempted suicide once. And I can only thank God that He saved me. And that is just speaking about this, a lot of flashback that I'm getting. It's taking me to that place. So every time you hear divorce, it takes you there where you were. And I can only thank God, man. Okay, I'm getting churchy here. But it's only God. I have no other explanation that kept me. And yes, I had support around me. I had my family. I had those that was there. But at the time, I felt very alone. I'm like asking God, how? I came from a divorced family. My mom and dad got divorced. And now I'm like, first of all, I did not want to get married. I did not. I did not, because I'm thinking, I saw this thing did to my mom, and I'm thinking, I don't want this thing. But then I had to go again through a process of healing, and then, it's any girl's dream. You want a beautiful fairy tale wedding, a family, and, all that. And then I had to go through that healing, say, Lord, heal me first before I'm going to go into this thing. And He did. Yes, a lot of things, restoration took place, basically, let me say it like that. And then, obviously, now I'm married. And now everything is beautiful, man. 3 children out of my marriage. And beautiful. Everything is just going beautifully, guys. Then, next minute, obviously, okay, this tornado of divorce comes. And I'm like, what now?
Can I ask you a question as you explain? Why do you think that in 9 years you didn't see it coming, and then all of a sudden that's a shock? Because to me, if you're saying divorce, every marriage takes work.
Yeah.
as a married person, and Heidi also says here, with my point that I made, I was speaking of before you get into the relationship,
Yes.
And with the marriage itself,
Yeah.
people always say, once I get married, it will be easy. Marriage is 30 times
it's
more
hard
hectic
work.
than dating.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, why do you think that you didn't see it coming and then all of a sudden it hit you like that?
Because I think I was too focused on building this perfect family. I was so working hard at divorce is not going to happen here. So I was so focused on building this perfect family that when things happened, I always, I did not want to accept it. So I worked extremely hard at the perfect family that you see in your head, you want it to play out. So when it eventually did happen, they always say it takes two to tango. It takes two to work at something and whatever. So if it just, and then it happened, and then it happened. But then afterwards, I had to go through a process of, I needed to forgive myself first. Because then, like you just said at the beginning, a lot of women start blaming themselves. I went through the blaming myself. Like I said now, severe depression. I went through all that, and at a point, I just couldn't take it, man. That's why I want to tap him out. Hey, Lord, you can take me now. And everybody's telling you no, you think of your children, think of this, and think. That time you're not thinking. You're not thinking. It's like, gosh, don't you understand? Like, this thing is like, I just want out, because it's just like you said just now. When the two becomes one, you won. You won. How now? How can this thing happen? This person, you now separated. So now, what now? What do I do with myself? You're no longer attached to me. What now? What's going to happen to me? So all that, and I can honestly, once again, just thank God that, like I said, I went through forgiving myself, and then I went through forgiving, obviously, my ex, and then, just building myself again, and then working through the process. Couldn't go around it, can't go over it. You have to go
Only way
through
out
it.
is through.
You have to go through it. You have to face it head on, and then just allow whatever happens, just go through it.
Can I ask about, because you mentioned that you had 3 children in the marriage. So many people look, and in the Christian community, the aspect of what's going to happen to the children are now going to see divorce happen, it's hard on them. What was the journey that you guys had with now having to go through those emotions and then now having to co-parent the children together? Like, did that take a toll on you, and how did you come out on the other side?
Look, I must say that we both love our kids unconditionally. That's not a fact. And I always say this thing, is the fact that I love my kids unconditionally, their dad loves them unconditionally. So the fight is between us. Things went wrong in our marriage between us. But when it comes to the kids, we're there for our kids, And yes, there's a lot of sometimes fights, and then obviously the kids get now entangled in it, which is so unnecessary. I think that should not even happen. Don't take it out. I think as a mother, I need to play my role because to these kids, and as a dad, vice versa, So the kids should not be involved at all. But with the co-parenting, it's difficult at times, I won't lie. And just like I said now, because it's obviously your question now, is it now a generational thing now, whatever. But believe you, I said this thing, I'm breaking here and now. This thing is not going any further. So I'm staying in the gap. Right now, this thing is not filtering down to my kids. I took an oath, I took a vow, and I said, this thing is going no further. I'm stopping it here. And like a lot of people will say that, as a, you can't raise your child alone as a single mom and whatever, because this one did it, this one did it. I said, no, that's not going to happen. There's both mother and father. I'm not that thing, because it's a cycle, and we need to break cycles as well. We need to break cycles, and that is very, very important. So I stand up and I stand in the gap that, my kids will have mom and dad, whether it's now separated, but breaking a lot of curses, breaking a lot of, cycles and stuff like that. But it is difficult. Look, I haven't arrived. There's still battles that I'm facing. There's still challenges that I'm facing. But one just needs to remember that, you will make it. You can go through it. And if you pray, God will help you.
So I wanted to ask you also, based on the fact that you were explaining now, you didn't want to get married, right? Because you had that fear of what happened to my parents is going to filter down to me. As a divorced woman now, how does it make you feel that, I'm just asking in terms of, I'm not saying this is how you're feeling, I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
In terms of, do you ever sit and say, you see, that night I should have said no, because this was my fear and now that fear actually happened? How are you dealing with your mind and coping mentally that I was against marriage in the beginning because I was scared this is going to
Yeah.
happen, and now it actually happened? Do you feel that you telling
I'm supposed to
yourself
stick
that
to my gut that
to your
time.
gut that time, or do you
And just-
feel like because I was so focused on I don't want it to happen, I don't want it to happen, I don't want it to happen, that caused you to be so create this perfect family?
So, in terms of, I won't lie. That actually, it's a good question, but it never crossed my mind when it actually happened to say that, because I believe that whatever I prayed for and God provided, He did restore. I can't question that because He did restore. So, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. That is basically what he did within my marriage. So, thinking about, I supposed to stick with my gut? No, I don't think so. I believe that how things played out and where I am at now, I think it's just part of where I need to go to, my destiny and stuff like that. So I don't have questions of what if, or if I could have done something different or this, that. I don't have it. I won't lie to you. Yes, at that point in time, the only thing I did question is that because why it happened to, the only question is that I questioned God was that, you said, like it happened to my mom, and now it was like almost like a promise. It's not going to happen, like this thing wasn't broken there, but now it came now here to me. So, and that's when I really took a stand to say that this thing is not, then I'm going to take the gap now and stand in the gap of my kids. It's not going to hit them. It's not going to them.
So I wanted to ask you, based on the fact, and this is the question I said, will you be okay with me asking you? I want to know, there is women that, because the process is so hard, that they regret it. What's your take on divorce? Do you wish, nothing against your life now, but do you think things would have been easier? And if I just said, I didn't want to go through with this, let me rather stay in this.
Yeah.
I don't know your reasons for divorce, but there's a few things that can come up, like I'm miserable, I'm this. Do you think that, because we were speaking about the hardships after divorce,
Yeah.
do you think that it would have been easier to say, I should have just stuck it through?
No, like I just said now, and that's the question I was pondering on, and I think things happened maybe the way it's supposed to be for me to reach my destiny, and there's a lot of things that that one can throw and say and whatever, but I won't change anything. Because what I believe, like my brand, Lady J, I'm wearing her, was birthed from pain. You understand? There's a lot of things I started, and this is not advocating now for divorce. I'm saying what happened. There's nothing I would have changed. If it had to happen this way, so be it. Because then I realized my true self and who I am today. Because why I won't lie, back then, I was always thinking of the others. I was always putting others before myself. I was always, thinking, like I said now, I was building a perfect family and I was building this and that. But I've never considered myself. I'm always, like a lot of people used to say, I'm a people pleaser. I'm always going to do something for you because I know it makes you happy, neglecting myself, So now I'm at the point now, I'm doing something for me. And if that had to happen to get me, it's okay. I'm now over the thing. Like I said, I'm at peace of what happened. I forgave myself. I forgave those around me. And I'm just working really to what God has in store for me. And a lot of things is still going to be thrown at me. But ultimately, So.
Okay, so I'm going to say something now that I don't want you to take it personally.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just going to bring another side with the marriage side as well. And if you're watching, I'm a big advocate of finding yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And no disrespect to your story or anything, it's your story.
Yes.
I'm not taking that away. I just want to bring in another section, and I know it's difficult, but like with marriage, anything is difficult.
Yeah.
And you push through things. I just want to bring a part of not advocating so much for divorce in order to find yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like society is pushing that a bit, not in your situation, because like I said, I don't know your reason for divorce, and I'm not asking you to tell us all now this happened, that happened, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But in terms of when you know this could be good, and you start questioning yourself, and I'm speaking from somebody that's wanted to get divorced many a times. My marriage is not perfect, but like I said, I try to strive and I try to work, because the kind of things is I feel things that is fixable. But in terms of the whole finding yourself, that was good for you to find yourself. But I do want to encourage somebody, if you are listening and you are thinking that I'm lost, I don't know this and I don't want to know that. And always on Gabfest, we speak about you having your own confidence. You having how, most of our conversations go on, if you're in a relationship, how do you stay true to who you are and not do that I'm just giving everybody everything. So I'd really love that. I know it sounds easier said than done, but the reason why I know I'm so confident in speaking about it is because honestly I've been through it. So I do know it is possible. It's just a matter of if your partner accepts it or not. Where you so much change the rules and say, no, I'm now standing for myself, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm not going to do this, this is my boundaries, this is this, because that's also a side. You can find yourself in the marriage, but whether or not your partner now accepts the I'm doing this for me is another story, because most people won't accept that. If I'm been giving you certain something for 9 years and all of a sudden I'm saying I'm not doing this anymore because this is my boundaries. But I am trying to share that before you do choose divorce, like I say, we're not advocating it, we're listening to somebody's story to help us and encourage us. But before divorce, and let's say your thing is you lost, and let's say your purpose was that you feel that God put you together and certain things, and it's not abusive and it's not the cheating, because me with the cheating and abuse, I don't think there's an excuse for that. But in terms of you with your emotions and you mentally feeling like you're giving everything to somebody, try to find yourself with putting those boundaries up and try to work through it. If Anka was here, she was gonna say, guys, Anka's favorite is, she was going to say, go for counseling and stuff, to learn to find out who are you as a person and know her favorite, your why.
Know
so
your
she
why,
easier. Okay, so she easier. So know your why in terms of why you're doing certain things, and stick up for yourself. Don't lose who you are as time goes by, because it's extremely easy to become the helper in the house than to become evangelique, So me not, like I say, nothing against your story or anything, but just a little bit form of encouragement if you're not divorced yet, but you feel like you're going through what Crystal went through. Just see if there's that last little bit of, I can, push through if I find myself in this, and whether or not my partner accepts it or not.
I do also feel like, generally speaking, women, they don't just make the decision once and then they're done. It's always like a build-up, like something will happen and it's like forgiveness, or it's like a long, dragged-out process before it finally gets to that point where you're like, okay.
Which goes to our
I'm done.
boundaries, because they were speaking about it on yesterday's show about the submission. So many times as women, we think submission, like being submissive to a man, is like just accept every decision he makes, and that's where we sort of lose our being, and that is why we can say, okay, I forgive you today, I can forgive you today, I can forgive but you don't put your boundaries after that forgiveness, because that's also something that's really important, that if I forgive you, I'm not forgiving you to carry on with what you did to get the forgiveness. I'm now forgiving you with saying, here's the boundary set. And if we can't stick to the boundary, then do you expect another I forgive you?
And it's true what you said. Like, look, obviously, it's not to say, yes, I get what you're saying, I had to go through my divorce to find myself, whatever. And yes, rightfully so. When you're in a marriage, I think it's so, so important for you, for both parties, to be so transparent, to be so open with one another. You need to. If you're not, you need to
If
you need to
can't be
ask.
open about your
You
emotions,
can't. Yeah,
it's not healthy.
yeah. So you need to understand one another also. You need to know if you have a dream, encourage, help, build, motivate,
And
do
the
what you
same way
have to
you
do.
building and
This-
motivating.
The same, vice versa. It's a back and
But
forth
what
thing,
happens
you
with
know.
women is we end up doing all the. Okay, you get the woman that killed the dream.
Yeah.
But in situations where you feel like you're the one that's encouraging,
But it needs to be a
it needs to be on
back,
both sides. And I feel
backside.
like that's when
Yes.
women lose their
Exactly.
identities. They're not
And we
getting
all
the
called for
you're
something.
able to do it.
Yes, yes. It's like in gym. I mean, you can do this. You can. You can.
I have a question, but it might go a little bit slightly away from what you guys were discussing.
No,
now.
it's fine. You can change.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
My question is about being a Christian now, and now saying, okay, this is now happening. Can you take us through that experience of how did the community around you respond? Your family, how did they respond? The people in your church, how did they respond? Like, you know, those Christian tannies around you. Like,
I had amazing tannies. Hey, no, shout out
how
to
did
them.
they respond?
They
around
Amazing
you?
tannies.
no. Honestly, the intercessors they were phenomenal. I won't lie. You know, I had regular visits come and pray. You're strong. You got this, which was so amazing. And I believe that is so important when someone prays, because look, many times I couldn't pray. I could not even utter. I just cried. Like, that's all I could do. I mean, crying yeah. So they were there regular praying, and you got this. Many times at the point you don't want to hear all those things, like, because you want a quick fix now. Like, just take the pain away. All I asked God was, just take this pain away. I can't take it anymore. It's just, I just want to be relieved. I just want peace. That's all I wanted at this stage. So I had a great support system, my family, and they were amazing. And then yes, you go through the process also of, because now you're divorced, you go through people now alienating you now, because it's like you have now a
You
sickness
have
now.
the virus.
Because now you can't be
chill
with
with her,
certain,
you're gonna
yes,
get divorced.
exactly. Transferring of spirits now, and
That's
like
a big thing,
like,
eh?
what is
I've
that,
heard
guys? But
people
please
say
tell
that.
me. No, what please
I
tell me.
don't
I honestly want to
understand
know
it,
what is
though.
that, eh? No, I would like to know an answer to that, because why? I mean, like, really, guys, like, we all chilling together, or we're all together, and now just because now, or is it now, okay, we can't, because we're all together, but so now,
Yeah.
in Jane, I'm like, just,
You
like,
the COVID.
so, yeah,
Wear your mask around, Crystal, please.
so that's the other one, eh? It's like, how do you cope with that one? I wouldn't know the answer.
Yeah.
So yes, I won't lie, I did have a good support system going through.
Okay, so my next question is the family of your in-laws and stuff,
Yeah.
right? But then I also want Cleo to come in with it as well. If you watch the show, Cleo was in a relationship. She's very open about her life, and that's what's so cool about her. She was in a relationship, and they're 7 years now?
7 years.
For 7 years, and they lived together. And they recently broke up and everything. And I wanted to ask, because we're going to get into the divorce side as well, but we are still real. We do know people live together and choose not to marry, but we live together as if we married and stuff like that. So I wanted to ask Cleo from her perspective, in terms of somebody who lived with somebody for so long, you were together for so long, just breaking up. It is like a divorce in terms of with the families.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about?
So it's funny you say that I'm very open, because like with my family and stuff, I'm very...
Yeah, I know you're not. And then many a times
confidential.
before the show, I will say, can we speak about that? Because I know nobody knows.
Yes. So with my family and stuff, I'm very confidential. So I think to my family, it was like a big shock, because they didn't know how I was feeling throughout the relationship, and that it was actually ending. So I have not seen a lot of my family since
The breakup.
the breakup. And I know that there's ones that have opinions, but I just have not like been in their presence for them to like ask me about it, because people just want to know like why.
Why?
And I don't know why
Yeah.
it matters, but yeah, people want to know why. And when I have like very few family members where I have a close relationship, because I'm not like that with everyone, where I can like say like, this is what happened and this is what we've been through, and then a lot of the time they're like, okay, I understand like why it had to come to this. But yeah, I think it's been difficult, like especially with my parents, because they're people that, if you, like myself and my brother, if we bring people into the family, they welcome them with open arms. They want to know everything about this person. So for them, it's like, it felt like they also going through this separation from this person. And I always say, like, the relationship you have with that person has nothing to do with me. Like, if you still want to communicate with them, check in on them, go for coffee, whatever, like, feel free. But for me, I just have to have that, like, complete separation. It's not like a thing of like, oh, let's still be friends. No.
And don't come back and tell me how they're doing.
Yeah, no, I don't want to know. I don't give me updates and stuff. Like, it's not, I'm not interested in all those things, like, because my vision is like forward, and yeah, but there's no like animosity or anything like that. It's just, I think sometimes I struggle to forget that, like, people are also kind of experiencing it with me, because they had their own relationship. And I think with family, sometimes they feel like, okay, now if they've broken up, it means that we can't speak to this person anymore. But yeah, sometimes you just need to like set the record straight, and like, if you do feel that way, like, I don't want you to speak to this person, then like, you should
Voice it.
yeah, like, feel comfortable enough to voice it.
Okay, then the reason why I asked if you're okay with me sharing about the whole, I feel like I lost this.
Oh, yeah.
Asking.
Oh, do you want me to mention
No, I'm
that?
asking, can I mention it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the reason why we brought stuff me, us whispering, yeah, if even here. Before the interruption, I was asking her. So with you being in a relationship so long, your mom actually told you it feels like she lost the son.
Yeah,
because
she was very emotional.
She was
about
emotional
it.
about it. And how are you dealing with that in terms of, you know, like you said, it was the difficult part was not telling them that you're no longer together. The difficult part is how the relationship with the other people, like you mentioned now, how you breaking up other relationships. And can you explain what that did in your mind? Because at the moment, at a certain point, you said you started questioning, and even on the show, we also spoke about it many times, when you stay with somebody for the sake of the family.
Yes. Yeah, like, so if other people haven't seen the show before, like, mine was like a very long standing thing where I wanted to do it, but I couldn't. I don't know why we do this thing where we feel like we're stuck and we're not able to make a decision, because the decision is always with us. But anyway, a lot of the time I would think like, oh my gosh, what is my family going to say? How are they going to react to this? Are they going to judge me now because why am I like running or whatever? But yeah, like, I just had to get to a stage where I had to be true to myself. And I feel like sometimes we feel that, especially if we are women that are very deep in our like nurturing kind of energy, we want to protect people that we care about. Just because you don't want to be with somebody anymore doesn't mean you don't care about them anymore, depending on the reason for the breakup. But yeah, like, that was what was very difficult for me. And like, I feel like I'm still in a stage where I'm kind of like avoiding a lot of situations where I don't want to talk about it anymore. And like, for me, it's like been a couple of months now, but I feel like if you haven't seen people, to them it's still news. So it's like, even if you haven't seen someone for 6 months, they'll be like, hey, how are you? What happened? Da, da, da. Like,
And then you must always explain again.
yes,
it
like
takes you
over
back
and
there.
over. Yes,
Yeah.
and like, I just think to myself like, okay, I've processed this, I've moved on, and now I don't want to be dragged back into that.
it. Okay, so now we heard from that side.
Yeah.
Okay, marriage, not marriage.
Yeah.
Crystal, from your side, in terms of the divorce and people around you, the impact it had. Jess did ask you about the kids, but I mean, like, now in terms of adults understanding what's actually happening, whether it be the in-laws, whether it be your own siblings, whether it be your mother, your father, what was the journey there?
Sure, guys. Sometimes it's, I don't know. Sometimes people will understand and then they don't understand. And they do understand and they don't understand. So you also don't know where you're really standing. You don't know where you're standing. So, gosh, guys, it's because you're going through this thing. It's you, you know. Sometimes people always want to put things on you, like, this is how you must handle it, or this is what you must do. And then you're just thinking to yourself, No, man, just sometimes you just want people to be there, just to support. Don't tell me what I must do, or don't say this and that and whatever. And just like I said to you last night on the phone as well, I mean, it's difficult for me. I'm not even going to lie, guys. This is the other journey, hey? As much, yes, I went through it and whatever, and just like you were saying with the kids and co-parenting, whatever. I mean, I went through a stage also of, where rights was almost relinquished, and, that's why I say, as parents,
Your rights or his rights?
His rights, and it gets, it's sensitive, but, it gets so to a point because why there's kids involved, and I don't ever, like anybody that hears out here, don't put the kids through so much trauma. They're already going through trauma where parents are separated. Now it must be a case of, when am I going to see daddy? When am I going to see mommy or what? And kids needs to be in a safe environment. The world is already so messed up. We are their safe haven.
Yeah.
We cannot for once. All that we need to do is love them, care for them, be there for them, support them, and raise them up. Like the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. Yes, we go churchy again. Train up a child in the way he should go. When they're old, they'll never depart from it, and stuff like that. But like coming back to your question is, yes, I don't get that. That is why I say I'm doing me now, and best I know how. People say this, and yes, at the point you're getting so confused, you also don't know what to do with yourself at times. So I just find myself, I'm doing me now, and I'm going to do it best I know how. And with prayer, and I know just seeking God, He will help me go through it, make the right decisions, do what is best, and ultimately for those kids. I need to emphasize that as parents, we should not put so much pressure or trauma on those kids, and just be there for them. That's all that.
Did you
I can
ever
say.
get to the point where you felt like, the example I made with Cleo, that you felt like, do I just not do this because my family wants me to stay in this?
And we're so deep into it
so
now.
deep
Yeah.
into it, or do you go like, oh, let me just leave it because my family thinks this, or
No,
my
yes,
in-laws
yes,
did this, my
yes.
in-laws. What impact did it have? Not now that you or like you processed, like your 82%, processing loading.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
the loading was still like by 2%. What impact did the people from outside have on your decisions, and how did you put on your blinkers and say, this is my decision, and I'm sticking with
Yeah.
it?
Look here, like I said, because at the beginning I was a people pleaser, so you're going to take, okay, you're saying this, let me do it. You're saying this, let me do it, let me do it. And then you realize, and you're looking now and you're like, girl, that's not working for you. That is causing now other more damage. So then you're like, you have to now make a decision for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. Start thinking how this is really going to impact you and those kids, or, So I really had to start. And even like now, it's like, I'm the mother, and I have to start thinking for myself because, trust me, I did, and it did. Some maybe did go a good way, so it's good to take some advice, but you also have to start questioning it. You have to scrutinize
Yeah,
it
don't
first.
follow it blindly.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do
Don't
your
just do
research.
it. Yes, do research. It's good to ask because sometimes obviously we're not.
Introspection.
Yes, we're not perfect or whatever, and we don't have all the answers also. Sometimes, but take it. Don't just do it.
Yeah.
First,
Funny enough,
scrutinize it.
I had a conversation just yesterday where I was asked, like, why do you even take into consideration other people's opinions? Like, should you
Yeah.
not trust your own self enough to know that what you think and what you feel is the right thing for you? And
Yeah.
my answer was like, I feel like when you take in other opinions, it like opens your mind a bit to maybe avenues or situations that you hadn't even considered. But at the end of the day, I also just feel
It's
like
all your
it's-
decision. What
Yes,
you do
yeah,
with it.
yes.
and it, like, if I'm telling the truth and I'm being really honest with myself, it really just adds a lot of like muddle into your brain. If you had just listened to yourself and followed yourself, it would have been a lot easier. But we all know that it's
Yeah.
easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like you value the opinion of people that you care about and like people you love, but
But
we just
also,
need to operate for ourselves.
yeah, there is people you can love and value people, but you also know I can love and value everybody here, but
Yeah.
I will know advice that comes from Crystal.
Yeah.
You question it, then I can
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
Jess and I can say advice that comes from Jess, I know she's gonna be the godly one. She's gonna tell me a verse. Advice that comes from Cleo, she can tell me, like, she'll be real with me in terms of, you know, with the ifs and the what.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in terms of, you can love people, but you
Yeah.
also know when it is somebody that you
Yeah.
can take from, and when it's somebody that can just be like,
Because you also have to remember
Yeah.
everyone has their own perception, and like their experiences and everything shapes their own perception in their
Yeah.
own way, and that has nothing to do with you.
but if it is somebody that went through it, I'd listen me.
Yeah.
If I know
Okay,
somebody
yeah, that's
went through
different.
it, and then I'm like, it might not be the decision I want to take, but I like to hear that this is how you got through it, and even if you went through it, and then that's why I asked, do you regret it? Because many a times, if I'm listening and you be like, okay, I understand that's how you did this and that's how you did that, but looking back, would you have changed something? You know, people, they want to hear from people that has experienced what I'm going through,
Yeah.
and rather than somebody
It's the
that's
best
just
teacher.
speaking out of, I think.
And on that same note, did you reach out to any counselors? Did you reach out to any pastors or any like life coach or anybody who might have been able to carry you through that? So beyond the prayer, was there? I remember you did mention the really cool Danis,
Beyond
and they
pray.
carried you through the intercession. But was there any counseling that you had to look out for, or anybody whose advice just carried you through that moment in time?
And if I can ask, if somebody did give you advice that carried you through, can you
What did
share
they
it
say?
with
Yeah.
us?
Who gave me no advice, guys? A lot of people gave
Yeah, but
advice.
you know the one
but-
thing that you think about when you go through something.
Okay, there's always this thing that obviously that I always think of, that if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And you know, you God also won't give you something that you can't handle. So you just think that, because I look back then, the only counselor that I can think of is when my work had to put me through counseling,
Sure.
because I was suffering, like I said, with severe depression, and I couldn't focus at work. So they had to go through all their procedures as to helping send me for counseling, and then I went for nothing helped. Guys, nothing helped, to a point of, obviously they were going to let me go, and then I took a decision, I'll resign, because I don't want now. Yes. So that's the only counseling I can think of now, besides now, obviously, the one-on-ones, maybe with the church Tanis, or this advice there and then whatever. But yeah, so you have to find yourself where, you know, self-motivation also has to help you all the time. Or, yeah, Natasha Cobbs carried me, if I can remember. Yeah, my UK lady, yeah, from afar. So she carried me. Yo, no more chain, but break every chain. And yo, I know your name. Yo, those words, guys. Yo, it carried me. So that's where I got my counseling from, listening to gospel music, or your warrior songs, or, you know, all these things, that I am a conqueror. And yeah, that's where I got, wherever I could.
And it's funny how you actually start singing it like you believe it. No? I was telling Cleo this morning that even if you know me, like I was telling Lee, I think it was last week, that my song is champion at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love it.
Lee will know that I'm
was
not
listening
somebody that's
to-
going to go listen to gospel music. So if my kind of songs, I'd be like, Love on the Brain is my, like, you know,
Yeah.
my focus song, my this, my this. But I'll never really mention a gospel song in
Yeah.
terms of my picker-upper
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
thing. And I was telling Lee last week how the song has been my picker-upper for a few months now.
Champion.
Champion.
Oh,
yeah.
but I listened to
And
it when I came.
is it? And it's so funny that even when I'm in the car and I put on my Spotify, like on Saturday, we went to go speak somewhere, and the playlist was playing. The song is 6 minutes long, nah?
Yeah.
My GPS was literally 6 minutes to the destination, and guess what song comes up? I was like, you
Perfect.
see? But I was just explaining to her that it's the first time I experienced how much a
Yeah.
song can get me through a
Yes,
situation.
yes.
That you like, but it also needs to be a proper song, not a, I'm a...
oh, Nicki
And
Minaj,
then
what?
you end up feeling worse than before that. Hype is like a
Exactly,
cigarette. You hyped for
Yeah.
the song, and then the minute the cigarette is
Yeah.
finished,
Yeah.
you're back in your depression.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is amazing that you
Yeah.
found in
Yeah,
songs.
no.
So I wanted to ask, right, because we're gonna close now soon. I want to ask. Last night we were also speaking about the going through divorce before moving on to your next relationship or something like that. We touched a lot on, so I want you to touch it now, girl, because last night I said you're speaking everything and I know what's happening on the show. But one of the things we were discussing was the after divorce, you set yourself down and was like, but I was also A, B, and C. And how did that help you into your next relationship?
Yeah, look with that. Before you even into a new relationship, you have to do a reflection and you have to say, I don't want to make the same, not like make the same mistake, like I made mistakes. So you don't want certain things to reoccur, man, because in 10 to 1, things will end again. You know what I'm saying? So you have to take back a step back and then say, Crystal, okay, now what was wrong or whatever, you know, your negatives, whatever, and evaluate and stuff like that.
Oh, sorry,
And
before you go on, something that I really found interesting, what Crystal and her ex did was when they got divorced, they asked each other for a list of what you didn't. So she literally got everything that irritated him about her.
Yeah, so those are the things basically
to
I
work
was,
on.
yeah. So
I found that really interesting.
So that was during our separation. So, you know, you're trying obviously ways to find out how can you patch things or make things right. So
Yeah.
that was during the So then, so I went to that list and I obviously checked it out now to say, okay, now before I go into another relationship, I don't want the same things because it might 10 to 1, it can reoccur again and stuff like that. So did lots of those things, and me and my partner, we're very open, you know, like obviously because he also comes from, he's also divorced, and so we like, you know, how we're playing it out now is that we don't want the same things to happen again. So we're very open-minded. So we're very transparent with one another, which is so beautiful. And, you know, we're just trying to avoid that thing at all costs. So you have to take accountability for yourself also.
So if you didn't watch the other episodes, Crystal was on our first marriage
Crazy,
episode 2.0. Crystal was on that show as well. And we actually asked her, I don't know if you have an answer yet, maybe you have an answer, but we asked you, so will you ever get married again? And you said you don't know, so do you have an answer now?
Listen to you. I think I would, you know what, because like I said, because I do believe in the institution of marriage and it's ordained by God, you know, going biblical, and because we're faith girls and stuff like that, I would love to, you know, I am open to it and stuff like that because it's beautiful. My marriage is beautiful. Guys, like I said, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So we should never, that's his job. And he's going to do that with everything, whether it's marriage, whether it's career, whether it's whatever. He's going to do that. That's his job. He must do that. But then it's how we obviously react to it and obviously take whatever from it. But yeah, I would love to, yes, I will. I am open. It's
So you have an
beautiful.
answer.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, man, guys. And like, you know, obviously I have a family, big family, crazy 8.
Yeah,
Is who we
now
are.
6 kids from 3 to 6.
Kids, yeah. It's beautiful, and we're both family orientated, so we love having family time together. We love just basking in one another's presence, and that's our drive in life. We're just making things happen for our big family.
I love that.
Do you have anything you want to ask?
Not today.
Not today.
I think this was a very insightful episode because these are topics that people don't like to speak
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see Nicolette Geil so.
Yeah. Thank you for being so open with us.
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks. We didn't get to
Thank
a
you.
lot of the things,
Yeah.
but for what you said,
Yeah.
Chase, anything?
I think my only comment would be I'm just really touched by your ability to be vulnerable with us. You know, I would listen to you speak, and there was a moment where like tears were coming in my eyes, and I was like, "What's happening?" I don't even like, but to feel how raw and real you can be, I really believe has helped those who are watching, and I just hope that as you go along your journey that you just continue to help others, because I think, like Cleo was saying, this is a hard topic. I remember my husband asked me this morning, and he never asked me. Today he asked, so what are you guys talking about today? I'm like, divorce. And he was okay. But I think it is important because what do they say? There's a saying that they say, all is fair in love and war. And I don't believe that. There's so many nuances that happen. And no one was there in your relationship. No one can point a finger at you, but at this place where you're at now, you're lifting up other women, and that touches me. So I'm touched by your story.
Thank you.
I'd also add on with you saying that many a times we take topics like this and think, oh, I must be divorced to listen to something like this. But so many times married people or even people in relationships, they can think, you know, if you hear other people's mistakes, it might not be your exact story, but how you deal with it. You can learn so much from, okay, I remember Crystal said she did this and that and that. Oh, let me go pray. Or do you know what I'm trying to say? Crystal said this song is helping her. Let me try it. It might not be your song, but just the mere fact that someone can get something out of your story. So it doesn't just have to be a divorced person. It can be somebody that's in a relationship. It can be a man that's thinking, we're struggling, what is the things that I can fix, and go to her with it and stuff like that. So I would also say just keep on pushing and make sure that whatever you do and whatever you discuss, you make sure it has a main goal of, you know, to lift other people up. You're not advocating, because you said I'm not an advocate for this, guys, but I've been through it and I want to help the next person go through it. So thank you so much. Thanks, Jess, for joining us today. It was very nice to have you.
It was nice to be here. Like, I can't wait for the next one.
I always like Jess talking. Jess's voice is just so soothing. Can come read me bedtime stories. Please.
True.
Be like, but and thanks, Cleo. I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I am actually.
Show, are you feeling better?
I always feel like there's nothing quite like being around a group of women to make you feel better, and it also just makes you realize that it's just part of the human experience to go on this like up and down, and it's okay.
It's fine.
And
it's important, important us as women should realize, you know, go through, we're going to feel, that's what we all have, emotions, we have feelings, just go through them. If you feel like that, it's fine, you're just going to feel like
ride the wave.
Girl, you're going to leave, then you're just dancing again and you're wondering, now what's happening again? So it's fine, allow yourself to go through it. It is very important, and we should never take that away from ourselves. We should also never be too hard on ourselves. Just let it be. Let it
go with the flow. And let us as the other woman sitting as bystanders when you in your flow understand the flow.
Yes, and respect
it's your turn next. So everybody needs to understand your situation as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. We loved and appreciated your presence with us today. I hope you guys received something the way we did receive something. And today was a bit more serious. We weren't over each other like usual. But hopefully you guys still enjoyed our topic, and we hope to see you next week. If you don't know, next week is our advice episode where all the questions you guys have been asking, it got last week before we got to it, because everybody was like, that was good if you were going to say that. So a few of the questions, one big one that was asked was, if you're fasting and your partner is not fasting, do we still have to give sex? Because it's not an agreement for the fasting. Then another conversation was, if you're in a long distance marriage, like your husband is going to go work somewhere for a little bit, or is moving to China to set up for us before we coming, is it okay for us to masturbate over the phone with each other, because it is still my husband, it's not a random person. Those were the kind of questions, and I think that's questions that it's extremely relevant, because there's a lot of podcasts just telling you about life, but not that deep things that people actually want to know. Can I do this in marriage, and is it acceptable? So hope to see you guys next week with our counselor that will be answering some questions for us. And have a good one. See you. Bye.